A lot of people, they have testimonies of, being in the streets or, doing things or going wayward. And while, I've done a little bit of that, not to the extent of most, my testimony is more about healing. Let's just say that I've had on multiple occasions an encounter with Jehovah-Rapha personally. And it started when I was 3 years old. I was diagnosed with strep pneumonia. And so I was hospitalized for some months. I had to go through extensive surgeries to the point that not only did I flatline, but the doctors kind of put their hands up and said, "Hey, look, I've done all that I could do, and really, there's nothing else that I could do." And so that's kind of where my first encounter with Jehovah Rapha came in, and that was before I even knew it. Let's just say I had praying parents, and God answers prayers. And so through that surgery, I had a fundoplication, which is this long scar that I can even show you. And this is, keep in mind, this is 1985 surgery. So it's not like the surgeries you see now where you could barely tell anything happened. So this long scar that I have here, this is from a fundoplication. And the purpose of that was basically tying my tubes to where I couldn't regurgitate because I couldn't keep nothing down. So then I had another feeding tube here and also had a tracheotomy here. And so that was the extent of what the effects of the pneumonia had did to me. Shortly thereafter, they even had to remove my gallbladder, and so that's what this scar is here. And so this is all when I was 3 years old. My sister happened to be born at that same point in time, and we actually shared the same birthday. So it was kind of like my mom used to tell me. She said she feared that if she had a son, another son, then that was just God's way of, taking me and replacing me. But she had a girl. And so she was hopeful that, because she had a girl, God was going to spare me and keep me around. And as you can see, I'm still here today. Um, the next encounter that I had was some 30 years later. And, it's something about the numbers 330. A lot of it kind of plays into my life. And so in, I want to say, April of 2015, I was diagnosed with a pulmonary embolism. And so what it was is I had a blood clot in my leg. And I was thinking that at that point in time, it was just soreness from working out and whatnot. And so finally, when I did go to the hospital and they did the x-rays or the CT scans or whatever it was that they did, and they saw that, they said, most of the time people don't find out that they have a pulmonary embolism until after they pass. And they say, okay, well, that's the cause of the death because the blood clot broke off, shot to the lungs, closed off everything, and they just sudden death. And so that was the second encounter that I had with the infamous Jehovah Rapha in sparing me. And so one of the things that they told me, because I used to smoke, I smoked weed, I smoked cigarettes. They said, hey, you can't smoke anymore. And I mean, cold turkey. Right after that, I distinctly remember it was like the 15th of April, or actually it was the 15th or the 13th of February is when the embolism happened. 2 months after that, in April, is when now cancer comes. And now keep in mind, all of this is transpiring when I'm going through a transition in my life. Um, I was in the Navy for 7 years, did that, came out, I sold cars for a little bit and went to the oil field. And so at that point in time, my focus was chasing money. As a man, I'm supposed to provide, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. So I was getting the money. I was trying to get my bag. And so the oil field was a booming economy at that point in time when I was there, like from 2008 all the way up until 2014, 2015. And so the money was good, but while I was doing it, the lifestyle that I was living, I know it wasn't pleasing to God. And I've always known, deep down that I've had a purpose, I've had a calling, because when I would do things that wasn't of God, I would feel it. All right. And so what happens is, you kind of push yourself away. It's like you force yourself to do the things that you shouldn't do. And then it starts to become easier and easier to the point where now you could just do it second nature. But I've always felt like the things I've seen other people do, God didn't want me to do. And so finally, when I came to that realization, I even said, look, I'm not even going to do secular music anymore. I was going to start doing Christian music. So using my God-given talents that I was using in the secular realm to now take it to the kingdom and use it for his will and his glory. And so as I'm going through that, um, cancer comes. And I'm like, look, I just had the pulmonary embolism 2 months later. I'm like, I was out there in my camper. I used to do flowback in the oil field, right? And so I just kept feeling like I was having heart attacks, and like my chest was on fire. I go try to take some ibuprofen, whatnot, try to, you know what I'm saying, ease the pain. It just wouldn't go away. I'd go to the ER. They'd be like, yo, we can't figure out what it was. One guy even tried to tell me I had a UTI. And so being fortunate enough to be from a medical family, you know, they were like, nah, something else going on. And so finally, after extensive blood work, a doctor came back and said, "Hey, you got leukemia." And I was like, "Man, God, I was already hearing you. I was already transitioning, you know, doing your will. And so why now? Why the cancer now?" And but the questions didn't last long, and I felt like that for a short period of time, because when you don't know much about something, that fear kick in, and when you hear cancer, my first thought was death. I'm like, all right, so this is the final chapter. This is how it's going to end. And I had a conversation with God, and it was a calming. He basically was like, look, death has already been defeated, and no matter what the circumstances or what the outcome is of this circumstance, you're in my hands. And so it doesn't matter whether you pass, because to be absent from the body is to be with God. And so death has been defeated. I've already won. So it doesn't matter what happens with this cancer. And it just gave me a calming. And so they took me straight from the ER at Comanche all the way up to OU Medical. And I was there for like, I want to say 2-3 months, going straight through treatment. But the whole time I was there, it's like I wasn't even focused on the cancer. My wife was up there spending basically, you know, the majority of the time up there in the room with me, and she could attest to this too. A lot of times, you know, the nurses would come in and they would get in there talking to us. You know, I'm a people person. I'll talk you to death if you let me. All right, and so we would find ourselves in a position to minister to others while we were going through the circumstances we was going through. Now, keep in mind, I'm going from making a good amount of money to nothing, no income coming in, because I'm in the hospital. And because I had that comment that God gave me, he's like, look, don't even worry about it. Yeah, you know Jehovah-Rapha, but Jehovah-Jireh gonna come in and provide for you as well. And when I tell you, he showed up and he showed out. We didn't make a mortgage payment for a full year, and we still here. I mean, that's kind of unheard of, you know what I'm saying, in the worldly realm. Like, hey, you ain't paying your bills, you got to move around. But you know, God stepped in. He was like, look, don't even worry about that. I got you, and he did. And that whole process of going through the treatment and the cancer, and you know, trying to be a blessing to others while I was there, like God was just continuing to bless me, and He was just filling me with that spirit. And that's what not only got me through there, but it sustained me since then. And it's like, I tell people, you know, that cancer, while it seemed like, you know, the darkest moments in my life, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Ever since then, I've been at the house more, spend time with my kids more, and I realized the things that I missed out on, and the way that he was trying to course correct me. And even though I was already like heading in that right direction before the cancer appeared, it made me value it even more. You know what I mean? It was almost as if to say, well, are you truly submitting to me, or did it just sound good because you know what I'm saying, you caught a little fire, and you know you had that feel good, you know, moment, but it's not gonna last. And I was like, nah, I'm fully submitting. Because prior to that, I always felt like I had plans. You know what I mean? A, B, C, D. It didn't matter. So anything that happened to me, I would just, you know, reroute myself and I'll figure things out. But he was like, okay, what's your plan B for cancer? And there wasn't one. And you know, I thank God for His ability to get my attention, because everything that I see and everything that I do now is all for His glory, and for the edification of the kingdom. And so I didn't quite understand that. I started to get in the Word more, and whether I'm reading the Word or observing or consuming content through YouTube, watching sermons, and just staying constantly connected. You know what I'm saying? Like disconnecting from the world and staying more connected to the kingdom. regardless of what the source is, I felt like that's what that's what he was calling me to do. It's like everything that you've been through and everything that I've gifted you with, you was using for your own glory. You know what I'm saying? You was trying to be flashy and you was out there trying to look good for people. It's like, well, if that's the rewards that you want, then you'll have that, but I can't do nothing for you. And so I finally got an understanding of kingdom. You know what I'm saying? Like not tradition or religion, but kingdom and relationship. And my testimony came through sickness and illness and understanding how God can step in any situation, regardless of what they say. I mean, at 3 with pneumonia and flatlining, and them saying, "Hey, we done did all we could do," surviving that, a pulmonary embolism that kills. I mean, the majority of the people that get it before they even know what it is, surviving that, and then with cancer, and thank God that it's still in remission and surviving that, and it's like I want you to help people the same way that I helped you, and it comes through healing. And I feel like it's always God is always right on time. We may feel like He don't come when we want Him to, and sometimes that's for a purpose and for a reason. I say sometimes, that's all the time, because He's trying to get us to go through things so that we can come out better on the other end. And so understanding, all of the things that He brought me through, He didn't just bring it through for me. He brought it through so that I can now have that same empathetic feeling and compassion for others that are going through similar situations. And not just sick in the physical, but sick in the spiritual. Because we got a lot of people that, their bodies are able and well right now, but spiritually, they need a doctor. and they need the ER, they need the OR. You know what I'm saying? And because I've had those close encounters, and it's not something that I've heard about, but something that I've been through, I think that's what He's been equipping me to do. Like this is my mission. These are my marching orders on my papers. Like, hey, I need you to go out there and find those ones that are sick, whether physical or spiritual, and I need you to minister to them. You know what I'm saying? Tell them what I've done for you. Be a witness for me. And I mean, I'm showing you, like, these don't go away. These I can witness with these from now until I pass. And this is what He's saying. Hey, these are the scars. Take them with you, because it's a testament, and it's a visual aid that, hey, you're not just talking about something that you've seen. You're talking about something that you've been through, because I brought you through it. And so I truly believe, and this is for everybody, the things that we go through is for a purpose. It's not just for us. And that's why when we bless, we are blessed to be a blessing to other people. And so my prayer is that hearing this testimony and understanding that, hey, God is a healer, the things that He says in His word are the things that He will do. If we just believe, trust and believe, you know what I'm saying? That little bit of unbelief is why most of us, regardless of how much faith we claim we have, we can't move no mountains. All right. And so unbelief don't exist in me anymore, just because how can I not believe after everything that He's brought me through? And so now my faith is to the point where it's like it is giving me a peace, as the word says, that surpasses all understanding. I fully understand what that means now. And I want everybody else to experience that same thing. And so, hey, this is my testimony. Like I said, I pray that it blesses somebody, it touches somebody. Be blessed, be a blessing to somebody else. All right. And know God is inspirational substance. I love y'all. Peace. Shalom.